Welcome to the stage, the representative from Pennsylvania, Chrissy Houlahan.
Same outfit, right? Sort of embarrassing, but that's okay. That's okay. I can recover from this. Hi, everybody, and really thank you from the bottom of my heart to Voices of National Service for this really genuinely extraordinary honor and recognition. To receive an award that bears John Lewis's name is truly profoundly humbling. John was not simply a colleague, and I'm so fortunate to be able to say that of mine in Congress. He was also a beacon and a moral compass for all of us in this country. He was a man who understood that democracy is not self-executing and that it requires courage and sacrifice and citizens that are willing to serve something larger than themselves, just as Mr. Lewis did. And that's why, in a really dark time, I can find hope right here in this room. And for that, I'm enormously grateful. Because in a moment when so much of our country, seems to be designed to divide us, when outrage is certainly able to travel much faster than the truth is, and when cynicism is rewarded far more often than compassion is awarded, all of you here in this room have chosen another path. You've chosen the harder path. You've chosen that path of service and to serve. And service by its very nature is a sacrificial act. It's an act of faith in one another. And I have seen that faith so clearly throughout my life, whether it's been in uniform as an Air Force officer or frankly in the beginning of my life being born on a Navy base, being born to a family of service in the Navy, or serving alongside Americans United in a Common Purpose in Teach for America as a Corps member, working side by side with teachers, choosing deliberately, on purpose, to dedicate themselves to the next generation. And now, through watching AmeriCorps members and volunteers, both here in this room and also across this country, who are doing everything they can, everything in their power to strengthen communities, not through slogans, not through sound bites, but through the quiet and determined actions of a hard day's work and a hard days of service. That kind of service really rarely makes headlines, but it's the work that binds us together, that holds our nation together, and that holds this nation together even still in this very difficult time. About 9 or so years ago, my husband and I stopped at the Pettus Bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We were traveling through the South. We were trying, and this was when I was almost 50, to run a race in every state, to hit 50 states and 50 races. So we still have not accomplished that, and I am nearly 60 at this point in time. So this was standing at the Pettus Bridge while being, of course, trying to accomplish my 50 races in 50 states, standing there on the very, very ground, the sacred ground that John Lewis was beaten nearly to death on, for the crime of insisting that Americans had the right to vote. I found myself at that time reflecting on how fragile progress can be. And while we were standing on that bridge, a national candidate at the time was using the power of social media to diminish John's legacy and to dismiss his life's work, as though courage and consciousness or conscience were weakness instead of a core American value and virtue. But John Lewis understood something that's tremendously enduring, that democracy is not a possession, it's not something that you own, it is a responsibility, one that every single citizen and elected official has to choose to protect actively. That the realization at that bridge at that time helped to clarify to me why I needed to run for Congress in the very first place. And it's why organizations like Voices for America or Voices for National Service matter so deeply to us here in this room, but to our nation at whole. Because national service does more than just solve problems. It reminds us, and GT, the person who spoke before me, Pennsylvanian, and you will see a trend this evening, Pennsylvania in the house, that it reminds us that we belong to each other, that it knits us all together for that common good, not for our personal adulation or for our personal enrichment. And while I'm really super grateful, deeply grateful for this recognition, the real honorees tonight are the people who do this work not in this room, who are not here, but who do this work every day, quietly and invisibly, aside from the public attention of an evening like tonight. So at a time when so many institutions are strained in the ways that AmeriCorps has been and the way that all these organizations that we aspire to work for do, these silent people continue to show up, not for the applause and not for the headlines and not for the beautiful plaques that I will honor and make sure that I present or display very prominently in my office. But because they still really believe in our fellow Americans, they really believe that we are all worth serving. I also congratulate my colleagues for being recognized here this evening. I'm certain that they are honored as well. Their leadership is a reminder that the support for service can still transcend party, can still transcend geography, although Pennsylvania, and ideology. And frankly, we need a lot more of that kind of spirit in Washington now and in the country as well. John Lewis understood that democracy is not guaranteed simply because it's old and it's been around for a while, or because it's powerful, or because it's American. It survives only when those who are entrusted to lead it are willing to actually protect it as well, especially when doing so is inconvenient or unpopular or doesn't advance personal, financial, or political agendas. And when we forget that, history is never gentle in its consequences to us. These are indeed challenging times, but I remain hopeful because I've seen what Americans are capable of when they are called not to fear one another, but instead to serve one another. For 250 years, service has helped to bind our country together, and if we continue investing in one another and in AmeriCorps and civic participation and in service itself, I know that it will help carry our democracy forward for 250 more years as well. Thank you very much again for the privilege and honor to be here today with you.